From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, March the 4th, 2024. As fierce fighting continues in Gaza between Israeli troops and terror group Hamas, the IDF announced 4 casualties this weekend. They are 19-year-old Sergeant Dolev Malka, 19-year-old Sergeant Afik Terry, and 19-year-old Sergeant Inon Yitzchak, all killed Friday as a result of a blast in a booby-trapped building in the Khan Yunis area. 33-year-old Sergeant Major in Reserve Denis Yekimov was killed in battle on Saturday. As ground operations in Gaza continued, the IDF said this weekend its troops eliminated Islamic Jihad terrorists who on Saturday fired rockets towards Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the kibbutzim that was ravaged on the October 7th massacre, as well as at Kibbutz Chatzerim. Troops also hit a number of other terrorists and terror targets. Talks in Cairo took place this weekend to try and reach an agreement between Israel and Hamas that would see a pause in Gaza fighting and release of hostages kidnapped on October the 7th, now held in Gaza for 150 days. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke of the possible agreement and the situation in Gaza at bridge commemoration ceremonies in Selma, Alabama yesterday, where she seemed to criticize Israel for not doing enough for Gazan civilians. She said the Israeli government must do more to significantly increase the flow of aid. No excuses. They must not impose any unnecessary restrictions on the delivery of aid. Harris also said that the threat that Hamas poses to the people of Israel must be eliminated and that Hamas must accept the current agreement that would see a 6-week pause in fighting and a release of hostages.
Hamas claims it wants a ceasefire. Well, there is a deal on the table. And as we have said, Hamas needs to agree to that deal. Let's get a ceasefire. Let's reunite the hostages with their families. And let's provide immediate relief to the people of Gaza.
National Unity Party leader, former Israeli defense minister and current member of Israel's war cabinet, Benny Gantz, is in Washington, meeting with U.S. officials, including with the vice president, expected later today. Meeting earlier with U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and expected to meet with members of Congress from both sides of the aisle. Political reporter Barak Ravid shared video of Gantz arriving at the White House today. Asked by Israeli reporters what he would be discussing there, to which Gantz answered, "With friends, we need to speak openly, and this is what I am going to do." The IDF concluded its initial review of the deadly stampede in Gaza last week, where thousands rushed humanitarian aid trucks and dozens were killed, most of them trampled in the crowd surge. Hamas, however, blamed Israel for the deaths, accusing it of carrying out a massacre, something Israel firmly rejects. The IDF said there was an incident where several individuals approached IDF soldiers at the scene and posed a threat to their lives, and the troops shot at them in self-defense, but that IDF troops did not open fire at the crowd. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the IDF will conduct an inquiry to examine the incident further, but shared the findings of this initial review.
Our initial review has confirmed that no strike was carried out by the IDF towards the aid convoy. The majority of Palestinians were killed or injured as a result of the stampede. From the information we gathered from the commanders and forces on the ground, our initial review has indicated that following the warning shots fired to disperse the stampede and after our forces had started retreating, several looters approached our forces and posed an immediate threat to them. According to the initial review, the soldiers responded towards several individuals. As a professional military committed to international law, we are committed to examining our operations thoroughly. We have opened an inquiry to examine the incident further, which will help us reduce the risk of such a tragic incident from occurring again during one of our humanitarian operations.
Hagari reiterated that Israel was committed to continuing to facilitate aid to Gazan civilians, noting also dozens of airdrops facilitated by the IDF in recent weeks, the most recent carried out Saturday by the United States and Jordan. And the IDF shared yesterday 277 humanitarian aid trucks, the largest number since the start of the war, went into Gaza today. Turning now to Israel's northern border with Lebanon, a man in his 30s was killed and 7 other men wounded when an anti-tank guided missile fired by terrorists in Lebanon hit an orchard near the area of Margaliot today. The men, reportedly all from Thailand, were working in Israel. IDF forces attacked the source of the fire. More rockets were fired at northern Israel later today, the IDF also responding there and saying it also successfully intercepted a suspicious aerial target that crossed the territory of Lebanon. There were 2 attacks on Jews this weekend in France and Switzerland, respectively, that appear to have been anti-Semitic. On Friday, a Jewish man leaving a synagogue in Paris was assaulted, the attacker reportedly calling him a dirty Jew. Police are looking for the suspect, and yesterday a 15-year-old was arrested on suspicion of stabbing and critically wounding an Orthodox Jew on the streets of Zurich, while reportedly yelling threats against Israel. Well, over 15,000 Israeli hostage family members and supporters arrived in Jerusalem Saturday after a 4-day march from the Gaza border communities to Jerusalem to raise awareness about the plight of their loved ones and call for their release. The Unity March made a stop at the city entrance under the Cords Bridge to read out the names of the 134 hostages who remain in Hamas captivity, repeating the call to bring them home now. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, March the 4th. At 7 o'clock, founding president of JOFA, Blu Greenberg, is honored. At 8, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with the women behind Lilith magazine's Frankly Feminist, short stories by Jewish women. At 9, Joseph Telushkin is on L'chaim. At 10, Good Week Israel. And 10:30, it's an encore of this newscast. Coming up next, it's Good Week Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, March the 4th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.